Okay, I'm going to talk about a subject that's obviously really difficult because it's been hanging me up for 6 months, and I think it's what's brought this channel um, work for me to a halt, and what's put a halt to my posting, even though the work has been daily ongoing in my life. And um, I've I've recorded a bunch of things on it, and they end up being really long and meandery and unpostable. So I'm going to try and make this one concise and just throw it up online so I can move on. And it's about the family members that I haven't gone no contact from. Um, Being in contact with my family is like it's radioactive for me. I tried to explain this to my brother the other day, and I think I did. I think it made sense. It could have made sense to anybody who wanted to understand what I was saying. So I don't know if I could have explained it any better. It's, I think, for people who have this, um, the combination of CPTSD and codependence, people pleasing type thing in the combination that I've got, I seem to have it. How your words and actions are landing um, is is ultra important, and when they're not landing properly, it it creates a kind of static or disconnect from the the communication output part where it starts getting difficult to think straight. Whereas if you just had a statement, delivered it regardless of how it was going to be taken, you could probably be more concise or direct or, you know, um, as someone who makes things, whether it's a cup that somebody's going to be drinking out of, or a table, or a room, patio with edges of stones that they could trip on, the attention to how it's going to be taken, how it's going to be used, lived with, interacted with, the effects it's going to have on the people that you're putting it out, to whom you're putting it out into the world, is having them and how they're taking it in my mind is something that I don't get away from. So this aspect of the CPTSD, where that's a compulsive thing, and the people pleasing of scanning for what's palatable, scanning for what's processable, scanning for what they need or could use, what would be useful to them, works. It it works for me when I'm making things because I can make appropriate things. And there's an aspect of the hypervigilance even where you're scanning for what's going on in other people. I can, I guess I can tune that to materials. So whether it's wood or seeing something in wood that is just passing, other people are just passing by, and then I could make something from it that features that so that it becomes an attention point, a contact point um, for otherwise unconscious people who come into contact with the thing um, is one of the features, one of the selling point features of my work. So these things they have uses as well as downfalls. But when it comes to interacting with family, my brother, I can't see straight. I can't talk straight. I can't decide straight. So I'm going to say a couple of things here, kind of for myself and bluntly. And these are the things that I was trying to communicate to him the other day. And the thing that I didn't finally get to in my chat with him was the question, do you acknowledge that I was abused? I can say to him, I understand now that we're very different people, and that each child in a family has different relationships with the parents. So my experience isn't his experience, and what I wanted to escape from, he doesn't want to leave. In fact, it works for him. And where I had to go away to boarding school as a teenager, it was either that or run away to the streets. He stayed home and found a way to make it work for him. And where I'm no contact, he wouldn't think of that. He accepts my no contact. Does he understand it? Does he have any motivation to understand it? Does he have any personal interest in what it means for me? I don't know. He doesn't want to talk about it. Is he being used as a flying monkey? On the one level, I mean, I can't say. I really don't know. This is the whole thing. Like, I really don't know. And this is part of the radioactivity. I was out what someone who understands this narcissism to an extent, to a fairly good extent, a couple of nights ago, and she was saying, how are things? And my answer was, I have no idea. No idea, and I really don't. I my prime my prime seat, I guess you could say, the basic feeling when it comes to where I'm at with my family is I don't I'm I don't know. I don't get it. I can't tell if what people are saying to me and the way they're being toward me is what they actually feel or what they actually mean. I have no idea what the truth is. I have no idea. I have no sense of sureness about whether anybody's got my back or whether I'm in a holding pattern being used. I have no idea if people are rooting for me or laughing at me. The aloneness. So the contact is so expensive. The not knowing. There's such a weight to bear. It's it's like an energy tax. It's like I've managed to go through all of the headway that I built up that took me 6 months to build up is gone in 2 months. Um, I got my answer about whether this is ever going to be workable. But there's really the type of relationship or interaction that I'm looking for, that I guess I need, that is what's it's like what's appropriate, like air to the type of person that I am, is not here. Now, again, you can have very different people within a family, and so maybe it's just me as a person. On the other hand, though, I feel very much like I'm a black sheep. Not the, well, I am the black sheep, but I feel very much like the ugly duckling in my family, in that, I feel like a different species that has been raised by this family, and I'm half adopted. So I've come to this kind of seeing lately on that, where it was like I can remember the feeling when my mother got married when I was 3.5, and then I got a brother within the year of that. New house, new home, was supposed to become a home, and there was a sense of what I wanted from it, feeling wise. There was definitely a sense of what I thought I was going to be getting from it, acceptance wise and relationship wise and father wise, and those things didn't come true. They never came online. But I was so hungry for it, and kids are like sponges, so I I adopted frames of mind, mannerisms, prejudices toward the world, values of the world, what's a worthwhile life, and if you don't hit that level, you're a failure or a loser, or if you don't aim to be operating in these particular arenas of life, if you just like doing simple things, and you know then that's somehow some kind of embarrassing failure. You're being a lesser person. And I've taken these things in, and I cut myself off from letting the feeding, the nourishment from the simple things actually getting into me, because I have built this built-in feeling that I have to be getting to this other level of being. I mean, they're politicians and statesmen and community leaders in my family's past, and the feeling is if I don't do that, then I failed by not going as far as they did. And at the same time, that feeling doesn't make any sense, because why do you do that? It's either for personal aggrandizement and power, and that's all, or there's a component of make the world a better place. And while the world is a better place than it was 100 years ago, in lots of ways, in uh, in several of the ways that are most core important to me and my sense of life as a human, we're not doing better. And I don't know if we're doing worse, but the attempts to address these things through politics and fixing the system and all these outward arranging things, writing laws and working the legal system and making these programs that are going to help people. And I've made my forays into working with street kids, and I've and I and I the the core motivation, the core feeling, and the thought process of what it is that I want to address with those things have not happened through those pursuits of mine. And the core thing is that if you're not clear as a person, when you reach those positions, your actions and interpretations and perspectives will be twisted and polluted, and the outcomes of your efforts to make the world better will be infected by the things that you haven't cleared out of your system. So the best thing that you can do is make it clear. The best thing that you can do is clean yourself. The best thing you can do is something small. Something individually caretaking and healthful, and um, when I get involved in the more complex stuff, my diet goes, my rest goes, my scheduling, my the spaciousness of my life, the calmness of my life. I don't have the systems to manage those. So everything that I take on pushes me further into survival mode, and I overspend on things like restaurants where the food is crappy. Even if it's a good restaurant, the food is crappy because of all the flavor cheats. It serves my family somehow. The individuals in my family, even the ones who aren't directly trying to kill me. And I don't mean physically kill me. I mean, there's a trying to kill you that is they're trying to kill your fruition as your true self, because that person is not compatible to whatever pocket they've worked themselves into. That's their survival mode. And I think, the conclusion that I've come to since I've been back in town, whether or not anybody would agree with me or not, or maybe if they heard this, they'd be insulted and hurt. I don't know. But I have to do something because it's drained me out once again. I'm drained, feeling shitty and isolated, and it's depressing me about the state of humans and interactions. And, you know, maybe it's great and they communicate amongst themselves perfectly, and I'm just an ugly duckling and I'm on a different wavelength and it just doesn't work for me. But for them, it's great, in which case, go have my own life and see them at, make the effort to do holidays, like Thanksgiving and stuff like that, and just pull back for the rest of it. That would be best for me, because it's like living in toxic soup. The compromise, I can't come close to touching myself. I can't be myself. There is no sense of welcome. There's no sense of, if I was my true unheld back self in a room, and I just walked into the room at 100% volume, not toned down, not diminished, there would be a great, hey, we're so glad you're here, welcome. There's no sense of that. And there's a stronger and stronger sense that the type of person who I am is the type of person that they don't like. I don't know if that's true, again, and that's the point of my channel, that I'm not talking about other people's reality or behavior. So again, what I'm saying here is just an acknowledging to myself and admitting to myself that I don't know. Where do I stand? I don't know, and I'm not going to know. But the workability for me is not there. It's just not. It's sick making. It's exhausting. It's depressing. So I have to go, and the hardest part is that 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 I've been doing a lot of thinking about, so what would be the most appropriate life for me, and what do I like most, and what would be the nicest day I could have? How do I set up my life going forward in a way that actually serves me and is healthy for me? And it's so simple and basic. I want space in my day. I finally finished a piece of writing. This one was a screenplay. Um, it's been like 15 or 17 years, something like that, since I got off track from what I was trying to do with writing. And again, in some ways, that serves me because I have all these stories now, because I've had the long and winding path of life, and I've lived in these many worlds that are way outside of the world that I grew up in. So I have these files of shows, and I have these works ready to go now, and I just need the time and the space, the mental space, the heart space, the calm, non-stressed of anytime I sit down to do this, a 5 alarm fire springs up in the next room, or if I retract my attention enough to be focused and give what's necessary in order for the writing to come out. Because what I found in finishing this screenplay is that the writing itself is very pleasurable, and it's very, in a sense, effortless. It requires, it's not like there's no action or no doing that goes into it. But it's not something that I'm thinking out. It's like the effort is in making everything else stop. And then in the space that's created, it just fucking believable. pick this up again. So I just heard a noise outside the door. It was like a puncture in my focus and my feeling that it's okay to be speaking about this, but at all. And so I just went and made a coffee to check if someone was up or if I was just hearing the dog. I think it was just the dog. And so I don't feel safe. I feel like the stuff that's the real stuff that I want to be talking about, the stuff that's the real things that I feel, and the real who that I am, if it's heard, if I let it be seen, then it will be seized on and used to attack me, either as like a judgment that condemns and then makes things just difficult indirectly, or as an actual direct problem somehow. And again, I don't want to be thinking about that stuff. I don't want to be talking about that stuff, and I don't want it to be a part of what's going on. So I don't want it to be a part of this channel. I don't want to be trying to figure out what the fuck I'm dealing with, which it seems is impossible. And that is the radioactivity. That's the toxic soup. So there's no I need to build a life, a place with a border around it, like a walled city in the medieval or Renaissance, Florence or Venice, where you need the walls so that the thriving can happen inside it without being attacked and siphoned. Without the wall, it's and you may have to go outside the wall to go and work the fields and things like that, to grow the sheep, to get the wool for the cloth trade, so that you can put together the wealth for the Renaissance. But the Renaissance happens inside the walls. Which means the part of me that wants family for acceptance and acknowledgement and interaction, the part of me that is clinging onto this hope, or like the second guessing of the maybe not, of wanting something more from the relationship with my brother, it's that's a wrong thing that's hurting me, and it's holding me back from getting the space that I need. Because in a similar way to things that I've said in way earlier videos, I don't think it matters whether, when it comes to the effects of this stuff on you and the toxicity of it and the way that it makes it, I don't think it matters if they're doing it on purpose, consciously, figuring out whether people are a narcissist or whether somebody's a flying monkey or where they land on the cluster B, I don't think it matters to its effect on you. It's, if things aren't workable, they're not workable, and you need to go and set up what is workable. And in codependence, there's a part of you that's what you're wanting, what you think you need. So, in order to set up the space that I need for myself, this family want is not, it's not compatible, it's not serving that health for me because of the ugly duckling reason. Because whatever, in whatever ways my family members have found to live with, to make it work for them, or to live with the way they do things, it does not work for me. It just, it fucks me right up so that I can't function. And then lurching back and forth to dealing with it and then going out and dealing with other people, it just fucks up the rest of my life. It's bad. It's bad. And it makes me just want to crawl in a room and be by myself and not deal with anybody. Because it's just so fucking confusing to not know what the fuck is going on ever. Everything's a fucking secret. Everything's a goddamn secret. I mean, to the point where I'm a secret that has to be kept from myself. They have to keep. I'm sure this is probably obvious, and people are probably hearing this going, yeah. Of course, you're a secret that has to be kept from itself. Because if you did the thing that's a secret, you blow the whole system wide open. But not you, but that reality would blow the system wide open, and the avoidance would be destroyed. Whatever the fuck is being ignored and avoided. And I don't even know what it is. And you know what? I don't even care. I don't care. It's really got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with me. I have no desire to hold anybody back from their life. I'm not trying to stop anybody from who they want to be. It might be incompatible with me, but I'm not trying to stop it. So, I'm out. And the Virginia Woolf Room of One's Own and 500 a year. That's the walled city. That's the room is the borders, the boundaries, the safety boundary. is the walls of the room, is the wall of the city. I want that, and I want the space that's inside the room where I get to do my thing, but I get to let go of the concern of attack or setting off the attack enough so that I can get the proper rest and sleep that I need, which I'm not getting. I need that in the room, and I need somehow to set up the 500 a year, and I need to readjust my mentality of what counts as a failure, what kind of work that I enjoy, that I've been discounting from the list of possibilities in this gotta make something of myself mentality that I've built in that is part of the, it's part of the duck family mentality, that just doesn't, it's just not appropriate for my nature. I like cafes. I think I need to learn how to run a cafe. I like making things, but somehow that's not quite enough. But I'm going into another topic now, so I'm going to stop there. Um, but I'm just gonna conclude here, and I'll go into the plan for what's next in another one. Partially because of memory space on this computer, but I'm gonna reiterate so that I can feel like I said what I needed to say, and I can let go of this pressing on my shoulders. I need to let go of what I want from my family. I need to just let it go. It's something that I'm clinging to or I feel guilty about. And what I would be bringing in that this notion I have, this want or craving or whatever it is, what I would be bringing to my family is something that's not wanted. So it's not like I'm taking away something from them. It's more like a relief. It's more like I'm stopping, putting something in their face that they don't like. Because the type of person, the type of conversations around the dinner table, the type of music in the house, the type of general joyousness and not taking life so seriously, fun interest in topics, these are things that are not wanted and not liked. And I just can't live with that fucking muzzle. So I have to leave for my own sake and let it leave. By leave, I mean I gotta let it go. Let go of the wanting of the connection, of the interaction and the contact. And I gotta let them or release them from my putting something that they don't like in their face, because I don't want people to put shit that I don't like in my face and stuff that I don't want in my face. So, um, so I'll let that go. And like the perspective given to me by a friend the other night, who's a single um, aunt to a niece and nephews. You can just I can go and I can play hockey with my nephew. I can have the things that I do with them. I can be a different type of family member who they're related to, and for whatever, if they get anything out of that, then we can continue, and could be as that could be as good as it could be. And if it's not doing anything for them and they're not getting anything out of it, then there's no need to push it. If it's not appropriate, why hold on to the fairy story and force something that's just garbage, essentially? Because I'm tired of being the human garbage of the situation.